Hello everyone and welcome to a special festive edition of the UK Tonight. Now we know the last year hasn't been an easy one and at times the news has felt pretty bleak. So over the next hour we'd like to be your antidote to that as we look back on the uplifting, inspiring and sometimes just a little bit weird stories from 2024. From the junior doctor who delivered a baby mid-flight to a hospice saved thanks to a community's fundraising efforts. Here's what's coming up. We'll be hearing from the award-winning actor, DJ and activist Idris Elba about his successful campaign to get zombie knives banned in the UK. We'll catch up with the strangers who waited so long for their cruise of a lifetime to set sail from Belfast that they had time to meet, fall in love and even get engaged. Plus,
I wanna lay with you, I wanna lay with you tonight.
I'll speak to John McClure from Reverend and the Makers about the very special way he spends Christmas Day every year, supporting the Samaritans. And...
Did you miss me, divas? I'm back to get you into the Christmas spirit.
'Tis the season to slay. We'll hear from the Rizzler behind a museum's viral Gen Z makeover. All that to come and much more on the UK Tonight. Now, knife crime is not necessarily where you'd expect us to begin, but back in January, I spoke to the actor and activist Idris Elba about his new campaign to try and tackle youth violence. One of his key aims was an immediate ban on zombie knives and machetes. Well, just 2 weeks after launching that campaign, the then Tory government announced it would introduce new legislation to make that ban a reality, which came into effect in September. Here's what Idris told me the day the news was announced.
It's a good reaction. It's a massive symbol for our country that we are taking this seriously and that we want to do something about it. The campaign selfishly has designs to, in our wildest dreams, we were like, I hope one day we can sit in Parliament or sit with, the powers that be and say, listen to us. Here are some options we think you should be thinking about. And that happened this week. And so it is a good reaction here.
Yeah, less than 2 weeks after launching your campaign, this has happened. When you launched, you sent a letter to the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary, and yesterday you had meetings with the Home Secretary, James Cleverly, and I understand with Sir Keir Starmer as well. What did you take to that meeting, and what did you take away?
Well, I took, essentially the campaign Don't Stop Your Future is designed to really think about the entire spectrum of what we've got going on here, everything from banning knives to what the future looks like. In the room with me was Ben Kinsella's father, Patrick, Yemi Yates, a mother of a tragic murder, and my joined-up thinking team, Farron Paul, who is a young man who goes onto the streets taking knives off people who want to get rid of their knives. And, what we took into the room was suggestions, what we've learned over the last 2 weeks from the campaign, what we feel could be a few next steps, and what we thought should be the sort of underlining power of banning the knives, which is it's a massive symbol for our country, and we should close up the loopholes as quickly as possible and really need to get it through Parliament quickly.
The government closing this loophole today probably won't come into effect until September of this year at the earliest. Did you get a sense, Idris, when you spoke to the Home Secretary, that he got it, he got the urgency? Because I'm sure you've been in a lot of meetings with a lot of yes people who will nod and listen to what you've got to say, but do you think he actually got it?
I do think he got it. We really examined why, even if he puts it into power now, it will take to September. And he really explained the sort of mechanisms of Parliament, what happens, what needs to happen and how it needs to happen. And these things don't move as quickly as we all might think. And we actually got him to ideate around how could we truncate that time even more. you know, and he did think about it. So this wasn't someone that was sort of nodding and just sort of, you know, fobbing us off. He was really listening. He had brought a team with him to listen and understand. They were taking lots of notes. And I felt like it was a positive step for the campaign, because then the very next day they made this announcement. And, you know, the truth is, as much as it doesn't have all the things that we would have hoped for, it definitely is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, this is a step in the right direction. Did you talk about more steps, Idris? Because when you launched this campaign, you talked about many things, one of them being youth provision, youth centres, you know, helping young people, because the causes behind knife crime are complex, and it all comes back down to the circumstances of that young individual and their start in life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we really highlighted the facts, you know, where youth services have been cut, there's a rise in crime. Okay, and that is regional across our country. We did highlight that, you know, young people don't feel safe. Some people are carrying knives just because they're unsafe, not because they're necessarily criminally minded, but it's because they feel that this is the only protection they have in their neighborhoods. And that's a tragedy. We talked about how the policing methods and the community interfacing needs to have a real look at, you know, because, yes, stop and search has to some degree helped take away some of these knives, but it hasn't cleared the problem. And there might be a suggestion that stop and search almost antagonizes the issue in certain communities. So there was definitely a sort of discussion around the future of this and what are those places. I've been a big advocate for, we need all the different departments to talk to each other. Police need to talk to community needs to talk to schools, parents need to talk to the health departments. All of this need to, you know, sort of join up, so that when we do find a young person or a group of young people that are definitely going the wrong way, that everyone can find a system that is recognized to try and help that and try and intervene.
Now, just a few months ago, we brought you a special report on the crisis in hospice funding. I spent the day at Zoes Place in Liverpool, which offers respite care to babies and seriously ill children. Parents said that without Zoes Place, they didn't know how they would survive. Well, the hospice was quite literally on the brink. It faced closing its doors at the end of this year, thanks in part to a lack of funding. But that's when the local community stepped in to try and save this vital place. Here's what happened. Michelle, thank you for inviting us in to the hospice. Tell me about Zoes Place.
So, yeah, Zoes Place is a fantastic place. What we do is specialise in babies and young children. What we really specialise in is respite care for our families. So what we provide is a break for families. So the majority of our children get around 2 nights per month to stay with us. And the families have all got children with complex care needs and life-limiting illnesses. So they're able to come here. Obviously, it's a process of trust. They get to know us. They get to know all the members of staff, and then the children stay for a couple of nights with us. And it gives the family a break.
Yeah.
Having a child with complex care needs can be quite exhausting. You know, it's 24 hours a day, basically 7 days a week. So this gives the family time to have a break, you know, do things that we all take for granted. So you often say to families, you know, what are you going to do on your break? And they say, you know, I'm going to have a bath, or I'm going to have a good night's sleep. You know, it is things that we all take for granted. So we also pride ourselves in looking after the whole family, because having a child with complex care needs not only affects the child, it is the whole family.
Lana, it's so lovely to meet you and baby Rain, nearly 2. When did you first discover Zoes Place? Why did you need to come here?
A physiotherapist actually recommended Zoes Place to us. She could see I had my hands full at home, so she wanted me to come in just to get to know the feels of the place and to take a little bit off my shoulders on its own.
When you talk about the load on your shoulders, tell me about that load. Tell me about baby Rain, who's just waken up.
Yeah.
Right on cue.
No. I've got 2 other children as well, so at home it is quite busy because they're all under 5. And then Rain's everyday needs are a lot in itself. She has epilepsy. She could develop scoliosis, so there's a lot of keeping on top of that. She's got involuntary movements, so a lot of the time when she's hitting herself in the face, she's not very happy. And then her feeding's been up and down, and she can catch anything, really. She's got a really low immune system on top of that. And every day is our little battle because her expectancy, her life expectancy, is up to the age of 5.
So what does a place like this, Zoes Place, mean to you and your family?
It's like a community in itself. It's like a home away from home. At first, you're very sceptic of someone looking after your little girl, especially when they've got so many needs, because you begin to think, right, it's up to me now to keep them going. But when you walk through Zoes Place doors, they're smiley, they're welcoming, and they don't treat you as if, whoa, we've got all this to do for a little girl. They know what to do, they're experienced. So when we walk in, the first thing we're offered is just love. And then we've got so much support on respite. Some parents, when we come in, we feel like we've dropped the kids off and our energy is so low. We've lack of sleep. We're not the cleanest because we've been around the clock looking after them, that we forget about ourselves. So then when we collect them, even just a day after, after a full night's sleep, a nice bath, we can parent better. We can live better. We're in the moment more instead of just trying to get through the day.
I think the national picture was something like £130 million is needed for hospices. And around 25 million of that comes from government funding. The rest is from charity shops, fundraising events for places like Zoes Place. There has been an incredible outpouring of support from the Liverpool area, from the local community and further afield. Talk to me about what's happened over the last few weeks, because it's been incredible.
It really has. Yeah, it's astonishing. You know, I knew that Liverpool, you know, we always pull together. We always do. It's you know, it's like no other city in the world, I don't think. I'm very proud to be from Liverpool.
Well, since then, the hospice has confirmed that it's been saved thanks to that amazing effort from the local community, raising more than £5 million. And I'm delighted to say that Michelle Wright joins us on the programme, Head of Care at Zoes Place, who you saw in my visit to Liverpool there. Michelle, first of all, congratulations once again, because when we met, you were stressed, but you were also hopeful and focused.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having us back. It's we're in a completely different position now, having actually achieved the target of raising £5 million in 30 days. It really is quite astonishing.
It's incredible because, you know, you've got to that point, but you can't relax, can you? The fundraising continues even over the festive period. I saw that on your social media account, a young man called Sean Yates has run 7 marathons in 7 days for you to raise money. So talk to me about what this festive period looks like on the fundraising front, first of all.
Well, it's never ending, the fundraising front, really. You know, as we've said before, we need £1.8 million per year to keep the hospice running. And I think what we've all been through has just highlighted, you know, the hospice crisis, really. And, you know, what's needed for the future, really. We need some more government funding because, you know, we are so privileged and so happy to have been saved. But there's lots of other, you know, hospices who were in a similar position to what we were only a few weeks ago.
Yeah. What does the festive period look like inside Zoes Place? What's going to be happening for the families and children that come through your door and for the carers and wonderful staff there as well? What does it look like?
I mean, it's such a good atmosphere at the minute. You know, we're also, you know, Christmas is always a fantastic time here. You know, we like to spoil the children, all the siblings, and we have many events on, but it's a lot more special this year. You know, we were only reflecting before that we could possibly have closed on Friday, so we were potentially closing this Friday, and it just brought it all home, really. what we have, we're still able to provide care for the families. It's fantastic, and it really makes us value what we've got. We've obviously all still got our jobs, but we can still provide the care the families need going forward. We've got lots of festivities going on, lots of parties, and yeah.
And that will continue into the new year. Because I know when we were speaking, you were primarily focused on the families that you helped. You were worried about them. And it was a very worrying time for you and your staff as well, fearing for your jobs. That now looks secure going in to 2025. But what are your hopes for that year? Because as you said, you need nearly 2 million to keep ticking over, and you need to secure government funding on a regular basis. What are your hopes for the year ahead?
I just hope that, everything that we've been through, as a hospice and as a team, that we have raised the profile. So, people are more aware of the crisis that's going on in hospices, and hopefully that government are much more aware that something does need to be done going forward. So hopefully, like I say, everything that we've been through will raise that profile.
Well, Michelle, it's been great to have you back on the programme, and we will keep in touch. Best of luck and all the best for 2025 to you and everyone at Zoes Place.
Oh, thank you, and you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Now, imagine settling in for a flight with a group of your friends when an announcement comes over the tannoy asking if there's a doctor on board. Well, for junior doctor Hassan Khan, that's exactly what happened when a woman went into labour on a Wizz Air flight from Jordan to London. The only problem was he didn't have any equipment, and the mother didn't speak any English.
The first thing that came to my mind is that I was actually travelling with 6 of my other friends who were all doctors. So out of all the flights that this could possibly have happened on, I would say it was a relatively good one because we had quite a few numbers of medical staff available. So all of us, volunteered, and we went to assess the situation, and we thought, who is best equipped in this situation to deal with the problem at hand?
I love that. This expectant mother had a team of doctors, probably more so than she would have had if she gave birth in a hospital. And talk me through what happened, because, of course, you've got nothing to hand that you would do in a hospital.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, once we identified that she was pregnant and it was waters had broken and she was expecting to deliver soon, which was complicated by the fact that she didn't speak a word of English. So we were having to also work through people to help us translate. The first thing that sprung to my mind is, what do we even have available to us? In an ideal world, there's a list of 5 to 10 things that I'd like to hand in order to help me deliver the baby and then look after the baby soon after delivery. But not many of those things were available. So we had to just make do in the tough situation, 35,000 feet in the air.
I was going to say, what did you have? Was there a bit of a whip round from passengers as to various bits and pieces you could use?
Yes, absolutely. So we needed some simple equipment, towels and things like that to dry the baby as soon as the baby comes out, keep the baby warm, wrapped up nice and warm. Of course, this is not a usual occurrence on an airline flight at all. So not many airlines at all, I would say, are prepared for a birth to happen in the air. It's such a rarity. So having any of those equipments is just not common.
And Dr. Khan, how are mother and baby doing?
So I got the update a day later, as did the rest of us who were in the airport staying over at Diverted, that they're healthy so far. That's the updated information that I have as of the daytime of Saturday. I haven't got any further updates after that, but no news is good news, I can only assume.
Oh, well, it was a lovely baby girl. And if it was a boy, surely you'd have been in the running to, have your namesake there, but
it would be a nice token.
Would have been, wouldn't it? But just in terms of the reaction of everyone else on the flight, I mean, that's quite a difficult thing to do. A lot of pressure on you and the mum as well, with a plane full of passengers. What was the flight like after the birth?
Yeah, absolutely. I think after main concern about what the next steps would be, because we were, of course, diverted halfway through our flight to Italy, most, if not all people were amazed at what happened. Again, it's such a rarity that something like this can happen. And everyone was just saying that this is such a miracle that something like this has happened, as well as whilst they're there. So to witness something like this is again, nothing short of a miracle, is what everyone was saying.
Well, from takeoff to blast off, this year, Rosemary Kougan became the UK's newest astronaut and the first ever from Northern Ireland. I caught up with her just after she had completed her basic training and officially gained her wings. You call it basic training, but I was just having a little look through what you've been doing over the past 12 months. I mean, there's everything on there from what you might expect an astronaut to train in, but there's diving, survival skills, medicine, photography. There was so much in there that people might not expect to be included in astronaut training. What about the 12 months surprised you? What was unexpected for you?
It's a really good point. I mean, for example, you brought up photography, and I wasn't expecting to be having a course in photography during basic training, but actually, it's an incredibly important tool to use on the space station. Some of the particularly amazing outreach that we do, as well as kind of comparing how the Earth looks between one mission to the next, which is obviously really important for how our Earth is changing. But a lot of the important communication we do is done by taking pictures of the Earth. It's a fantastic vantage point from the ISS. So indeed, things like photography training were certainly a big surprise. But it's just been a really broad training in everything from engineering and systems to the practical trainings as well.
I was interested in the survival skills because, of course, when you think about being an astronaut, you think about that mission, don't you? Either being on the International Space Station or doing a moonwalk or something like that. You don't necessarily think about the landing part of the mission, coming back to Earth. And you had to go through what looks a little bit like a survival skills course to prepare you for if things don't go well when you land. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Of course, we all watch the launches with great excitement. And then there's the mission on board, which is the focus, getting that science done. But landing is a really important part of it. And doing that safely is challenging. And of course, if you come down, if you end up landing in an area that you weren't anticipating landing in, it could be hours or even days before rescue teams can come to collect you. So the winter survival training was to teach us how to do that if we end up in an environment that is harsh, that is cold.
What does it mean to you personally, Rosemary? I mean, we've talked about you being the newest, Britain's newest astronaut, the first astronaut from Northern Ireland. What does it mean to you when you hear that?
It just fills me with just such a sense of kind of gratitude and happiness, excitement. It's really been a dream for a very, very long time, a dream that I did not expect to come true in that sense. And there's a lot of hard work and training ahead. But I think it's a really exciting time for space right now, for the UK and, of course, for Europe and everyone. And so I'm so happy to be taking part in it.
Now, another story that kept us on the edge of our seats at the start of the year was the case of the missing monkey. For nearly a week, we were entertained by the exploits of the macaque on the run in the Scottish Highlands. I spoke to Carl Nagel, who spotted the escapee in his back garden.
I was woken by a telephone call from my daughter exclaiming, "Dad, there's a monkey on your street." Apparently a video had been posted on Facebook of a neighbouring garden with said macaque running through it. And I was like, "Dad, what are the chances in our garden now?" And got up, went to my patio door, and there I was in my dressing gown with a primate nibbling my nuts.
How did he look? Was he happy to be out?
He was, and I'm sure still is, living his best life. Plentiful supply of food from my feeders and probably many more in the neighbouring gardens. We've all been urged to take them in now to disincentivise him from not returning to the park to join his troop. But yeah, he was there, proud as punch, just having a go at the feeders.
Well, here is a picture of Honshu looking somewhat sheepish after he was safely captured and returned to the Highland Wildlife Park after 5 days on the run. Still to come on the UK tonight, pounding the pavements and the Pinot. We'll be hearing from the marathon runner taking a slightly different approach to hydration. And an 11-year-old author gets a surprise from a pop star who first inspired her to write. Back in April, tens of thousands of runners took to the streets of the capital for the London Marathon. I spoke to one of them who had, should we call it, a somewhat unorthodox approach to hydration? Tom Gilby racked up millions of views on social media after tasting a different wine for every mile.
Red. Could be a Pinot Noir. I reckon it's a Pinot Noir from Burgundy, 2018. Go on, Tom!
Well, I'm glad to say that Tom joins us now. Tom, explain the challenge to us, and did you get them all right?
So which bit do you want? So no, I didn't get them all right, but thank you for playing the two that I did. So, so the results were 7 totally right, 4 totally wrong, and the rest partly right.
It was interesting to see the faces of some of the people behind you as you were swilling from a wine glass during the marathon. What kind of reaction were you getting along the way?
They thought I was very odd, but my thinking, Sarah Jane, was that I'm 52, so I might not win it. And there's a lot of people who are going to be doing it faster than me, but I didn't think there'd be that many people doing as many wines as me.
Well, you might not win it, but you ran it in 4 hours and 41 minutes, which is pretty impressive considering the recommendation is to drink a Waterloo, not Burgundy Pinot Noir, with a year of 2018. We don't condone drinking and running, but it seemed to work for you. How did you feel at the end? Sozzled or elated?
Can I have a bit of both? Absolutely hooked, I felt at the end, but it was great fun.
And while we're on the subject of running, we couldn't ignore Russ Cook's astonishing challenge to run the length of Africa. It took him 352 days, and he raised nearly £750,000 for charity. Our sports correspondent, Rob Harris, was with him, literally, as he crossed the finish line.
After 352 days, Russ Cook is completing his extraordinary endeavour, running the length of Africa. Here we go, we're with him on the final part as he reaches the most northerly point of the continent. He started a year ago from South Africa and now, supported by so many runners who've flown out to join him, particularly from the UK, this is the moment, the end game. The point he's been running for charity for. He wanted to turn his life around. He'd had his challenges and he's taken on an extraordinary challenge, an epic mission, faced so many hurdles going through Africa, traversing the continent through conflict, climate and illness. He's had injuries and fatigue, but he's weathered it all, and on his final marathon of what, almost 390 marathons, he's reaching the most northerly point of the continent, and I'm running with him actually to just keep up as you join us for this final moment with so many supporters with him. And it's very rocky, this point, as we reach the Cape Angela, the most northerly point. This is it. Russ Cook completing his run, the length of Africa.
Yes, Rob, definitely one of our favourite TV moments from the last year. Still to come here on the UK Tonight. We'll be catching up with the strangers who waited so long for their delayed cruise to depart that they ended up falling in love. And
I wanna lay with you. I wanna lay with you tonight.
I'll be speaking to John McClure from Reverend and the Makers about their Christmas single and how he's helping to tackle loneliness at this time of year. Now, earlier this year, we brought you the story of a cruise ship that was delayed for so long that two strangers had time to meet, fall in love, and even get engaged. Jan and Angela were meant to set sail from Belfast back in May, but engine problems meant that they ended up stranded there for months. Here's what they told me when we spoke in September.
We came out in May. We were expecting to leave on the 30th of May. The ship, which was an older ship, ended up having a lot of issues that had to be addressed. Many of them were surprises as we came along the way. And so the cruise company's been really great. They've been looking after us, taking care of us, covering our expenses, and we've had the time to do a little bit of traveling. Angie and I met right at the very beginning. We became friends with a group of people. But then about 6 weeks ago, we found ourselves commuting daily to the ship, back to our hotels in central Belfast. And we just created a really deep friendship that blossomed into romance.
Well, I'm pleased to say that Jan and Angela join us now from Panama City. They are 3 months into that delayed cruise. It's great to see you both. How are you? The tans are a little bit better than when we last caught up in Belfast.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here, and we are definitely having the times of our lives.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah Jane. Definitely better weather than we experienced in the Belfast summer.
Can I ask, was it worth the wait? Because you were in Belfast, you ticked all the tourist boxes in the city waiting to leave. You met each other, fell in love, there was a proposal. And what have the last 3 months been like? What have you been up to?
It's been amazing. It has more than exceeded our expectations. The ship is amazing. The food, the crew are incredible. We made our way down through Portugal and Spain and into Africa, and came across from Cape Verde over to Barbados, and now we've been tooling around in the Caribbean. So we just got to Panama, as you heard. Looking forward to the adventure continuing. It's incredible, amazing.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, we're just having a look at some of your holiday snaps now. Long may they continue, because it's worth reminding viewers how long this cruise is for, because you're 3 months in, you've got quite a while to go.
Yeah, 3.5 years on this first circumnavigation, and of course we may just continue on. But yeah, we wake up every day and kind of shake our heads that we actually live on a cruise ship. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah. I mean, you're pretty much doing the honeymoon before the wedding, right? How are the wedding plans going? Because I don't know how you organise that when you're on the move all the time, going from country to country.
All the wedding plans are moving right along. Actually, it's getting pretty exciting.
Of course they are, Angela. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm standing back. I know enough.
They're actually coming right along. I'm looking really forward to it. You're definitely getting a lot more set in motion, and our guests lined up and the invitations out, and it's definitely coming right along.
Yeah, so the big date is in May. I hope we'll at least get a Zoom invite. How does it work? How does the logistic work? Where will you be? And we have family flying from all over the world. Will it be on terra firma? Will it be on the ship?
It'll be on the ship for sure. We're going to get married by the captain on May 1st. We will be off the coast of Nicaragua at that time, work our way up from Panama up towards Alaska and heading over to Asia after that. So it's going to be amazing, but it'll be the whole 300 to 400 guests on the ship will be there, and we'll be up on the pool deck, and hopefully the weather will cooperate with us.
Do you have to invite everyone?
Yes.
We are definitely inviting everyone.
Everyone's invited. Yeah.
It's going to be a big
There's going to be
party.
a lot of rum punch.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, well, good luck for the wedding. We will keep in touch. We're living vicariously through you, and we look forward to seeing some pictures of your nuptials and catching up soon. Jan and Angela, Happy New Year to you, and all the best for 2025.
Thanks. All the best
Happy
for the
holidays to you as well. Thank you for having us.
Bye for now.
Oh, another one of my favourite stories of the year. There have been so many. Here comes another one, actually. Writing 4 books at any age is a pretty impressive feat. But imagine doing it before you're even in your teens. 11-year-old author Sarah Kito has done just that, with all the proceeds going to her chosen charity. When we met back in the spring, Sarah told me about her latest book, and we had a little surprise for her.
Especially when I was younger, like during the lockdown, I read a lot, but the only problem was I didn't really see lots of books that had people who looked like me in it. So one of my inspirations is that I wanted to put my own face into my own book. And then also another thing is most of my books, it's I got inspiration through my past experiences, and that is and also my family values, and they that is what really inspired me to write these books.
Who's your favourite author? Who inspires you, Sarah?
So I have two of my two favourite authors. One of them is Alicia Dixon.
And why do you like Alicia so much?
Not just because of Britain's Got Talent, but also her book series, Lightning Girl, was one of the first book series I saw with the main character looking like me.
Yeah.
Like, she had an afro, like this puff you see on me now, she had a puff, but even bigger, and that really inspired me. I can put my face in my own book.
I love that because, you know, she's inspired you. And do you know what? You're pretty inspirational yourself. I think you've inspired Alicia as well. Do you want to look into camera 11? Because we've got a rather special message for you, Sarah.
Hi Sarah, it's Alicia here. How are you, my darling? I just wanted to send you a message to say congratulations on your 4th book. I've heard all about it and what you're doing. That's incredible. You are really inspiring. I read your article in the newspaper. It was very touching. You know, it's because of people like you that I do what I do. And hearing your story validates that and motivates me to keep going. I want to inspire the next generation. I'm thrilled that Lightning Girl was so special to you because that was the intention of that book. So sending you all the luck, all the love in the world. I hope to meet you one day. Enjoy your night tonight. Mwah.
Well, Sarah, what do you think of that?
Yeah, when I got the email that I was invited here, I was hoping that Alicia would be seen.
Well, she's seen you, she's heard of you. In fact, this book here, should we sign this and send it to Alicia? I think you need to sign that and we will get it to Alicia Dixon. And since then, they've swapped books, signed copies. Swapped signed copies, we love that. Now, we all love a Christmas song, and this year, Reverend and the Makers have released a single with a bit of a difference, not least because it isn't really a Christmas song at all. Late Night Phone Call is raising money and awareness for the Samaritans, a charity that is close to lead singer John McClure's heart. I caught up with John. He told me why he will be spending Christmas Day playing songs for fans who would otherwise be on their own. We started by talking about a new single.
Well, it's a weird one, really. It's not, doesn't mention Christmas and hasn't got a chorus. But during writing it, me and my friend Danny Lafrom, who I do my music with, we were like, is this a Christmas song? And he's like, yeah, it is.
Oh, believe me, love.
Now, the story is loosely based on a true story. It's me coming home from the pub, calling my wife, Laura, who was not amused that I'd called her at this time. And I'm like, I love you, babe. And obviously, as the course of this conversation has transpired, she's come round to the idea. And so we've tried to reflect that in the video. And then by the time I get home in the video, we've cordoned off a terrace street in Sheffield, big Busby Birkby, dance scene, Father Christmas, Mrs. Claus.
There's an Elvis in there.
Elvis, elves, just joy, right? Happiness, joy, and a snow machine, and yeah, just...
Typical Christmas Eve scenes.
That's what happens in Sheffield. That's kind of how we roll in Sheffield at Christmas. And just, we had a bunch of fun making it.
Yeah. It really is a fun video, but it's got a really serious message behind it because with this song, you're raising money for Samaritans this Christmas as part of their campaign. Nobody needs to feel alone this Christmas. That title says so much, but talk to me about that campaign and what it means to you.
Well, personally, I've lost my uncle, my auntie, my cousin, my dad's best friend, one of my mum's friends, a bunch of my friends to suicide. And although Christmas is great and it's fun and we should embrace that and have a laugh and all them things, it's not great for some people. It can conjure up feelings of sadness, melancholy, all of these kind of emotions. And some people, they kind of feel alone, right? So I think the Samaritans have been there a long time, 365 days a year. You can pick up the call, 116 123, give them a ring, and they'll be there for you. And that's the thing, really. You don't have to be alone. You can and they'll talk to you for as long as you need. And I think that's really powerful. And I think it's great that there's lots of different charitable things at Christmas time. But I think saving the lives of people in and amongst you, around you, on your street, you know, in your town, I think that's a really important message.
Yeah, with something as simple as a phone call, a conversation, because when people talk about the Samaritans, a lot of people talk about it as in the last chance. You have to hit rock bottom to call the Samaritans. But I think what this campaign is doing is opening up a conversation about loneliness and being able to pick up the phone and reach out just to talk. You don't have to be at your lowest ebb if you're lonely.
No,
you should be able to put your hand up and say so and find someone.
And I think people need help in the moment, not sort of, if you go to the doctors now, you'll get to see someone in 3 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever. And that can affect anybody, you know. Adele's been talking about loneliness recently. Pep Guardiola's been talking about ringing the Samaritans. For 10 years now, I've tried to Zoom 5 or 6 fans on Christmas Day who might be on their own, just to sort of check in with people and stuff. And I think, like, you often people don't know where the bottom is. They don't know even if they're starting a descent, you know. And if you kind of in any way feel kind of a bit weird, just give them a call and they'll be there for you.
Why did you start doing that, calling fans on Christmas Day? When did it start? How did it start?
I've got my Auntie Gail, who her husband passed away, but I remember her saying, it's like become a family joke, but she once said to us, listen kids, never be on your own at Christmas. And it's become a family saying. That's a comedy thing, but it stuck in my mind, that, and I thought, nobody should have to be on their own at Christmas. Now, I lost my dad earlier on this year. It's going to be a weird year for me. My cousin Louise, she lost her dad. She's coming to my mum's house to be with us because she's on her own. It's one of them things that, a bit like homelessness, I just can't have it. I don't think it's right. In today's society, we've got a lot of money, a lot of wealth in this country. It just don't feel right that people should have to be on their own. And I think, like, if you can spread a bit of joy, it's getting back to the real message of Christmas, right? I'm not particularly religious, but I feel like when you're having to buy a bottle of aftershave for your Uncle Tom Cobley, who you've not seen for 4 years, we've kind of gone a long way away from what the point of the whole thing is, right? So it's just trying to return to that a little bit.
Yeah, it's about human connection, isn't it? And being with people.
I think so, yeah.
To celebrate things like Christmas. And I'm just interested how those conversations start, because, you know, you take yourself off for a couple of hours on Christmas Day after Christmas dinner and do your Zoom calls. What do you talk about? How does the conversation start? Because you've been doing it for a decade, so I'd imagine you've had a broad spectrum of conversations and so many different emotions as well.
You meet all kinds of people, right? Sometimes it's people who are on their own and they are genuinely very sad and sort of a bit melancholy. But then the other times, the people who maybe they've had a tough year, but they've found a bit of joy at Christmas and they've gone, oh yeah, John from Reverend the Makers is calling me. I've had it before where there's like 60 people in a front room and they're all like, ah. So you get all kinds of people. One person, I Zoomed him, and they were dressed as an elf for no reason whatsoever. Just sat on their own. Just sat on their own, dressed as an elf. You know, you get all kinds of people, and I think, like, that's what's great about this country, because we come in all different shapes and sizes, don't we? And I think you meet, you know, the best of people, really. Yeah. And it's just my little thing. My mum and dad used to do soup kitchens for homeless, and it's not really me, that. I'm thinking, what's my transferable skill? Yeah. I'm a musician. Let me try and do a bit of that.
Well, you've got a song ready-made this Christmas to play to people. John, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much. Just a final message, if you will, as we are in the middle of this festive period. What would you say to people who are perhaps on their own right now? How should they reach out? How do you start that conversation? Because that can often be the most difficult part, right?
Yeah, I think get online. There's a bunch of people, myself included, who I'll talk to anybody. I've always been saying there's a bunch of other people like that online who are good-hearted humans who I think you can approach. There's things like Andy's Man Club, but more than anybody else, I think the Samaritans have been there for a long time. They've got a lot of skin in the game. 365 days a year, 24/7. The number's 116 123. Give them a ring, and nobody needs to be on their own at Christmas.
Well, just to reiterate what John said there, if you've been affected by anything this festive period, including what we were talking about there in our conversation, you can call the Samaritans for help. 116 123 is the number, or email joe@samaritans.org. Coming up on this festive edition of the UK Tonight.
Did you miss me, divas? I'm back to get you into the Christmas spirit.
'Tis the season to slay. We'll hear from the museum curator, who is back after his Gen Z video went viral. Now, we always like to leave you with something that slays and pops here on the UK Tonight, especially at Christmas. The Royal Armouries has got Riz and has been called Leeds' most Sigma day out, no cap. Let's translate that for you. Earlier this year, a museum in Leeds went viral after having a Gen Z makeover. The video of curator Mark Murray Flutter racked up millions of views on social media. Let's take a look.
Brat summer is over, bestie. It's time to enter your historical era. The Royal Armouries is the most Sigma day out in Leeds. No cap. Slay. Small. The line armour is serving main character energy. Pop off, Queen.
Well, of course, I had to catch up with Mark, didn't I? He told me what his favourite new word is.
I was asked by my communications officer, Katie, if I would be like to be involved with this, and I just thought that it would be a fun thing to do. As from another generation, it's nice to be able to talk to a younger generation.
It certainly
Using
is.
their
Well
language.
done. Yeah, well done to you and Katie, having to learn a whole new language. Did you learn it, though? Did you understand what you were saying at the time?
Some of it, yes, because I have to admit I cheated in that Katie kindly provided me with a dictionary, which I began to memorise and learn about. But it's the context in which these words are used which is the fun bit.
Yeah, Mark, don't worry, we've all been there. We've all crammed different languages, haven't we, ready for tests. Yours was on camera. As I said, it's gone down really well. What kind of reaction have you had?
I have to say I was surprised on the Monday morning when I woke up and discovered that all this had happened. But from what I've been told, I'm not on TikTok myself, but those who have reported to me that the reaction has been incredibly positive and very complimentary, which has been I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, positive, complimentary, and you know, we're having a bit of fun with this. You're having a bit of fun with this, but there's a serious message behind it. You want people to come and visit you there at the museum. You want the next generation to be engaged in what you're doing, because I know you're so passionate about the exhibitions you've curated there. Tell us a bit about it. What can Gen Z expect when they come through the doors?
Well, hopefully Gen Z will find the collection appealing, that they'll find things they've never seen before, and hopefully they'll become excited by the material, which I'm excited and passionate about. And indeed, all the people who work here are passionate about as well. So yes, we would hope that you've got to come and see it. Otherwise, you don't know what you're missing.
Well, you'll be pleased to hear that Mark hasn't left it there, and he has a new Christmas message for his fans. 'Tis the season to slay, after all.
Did you miss me, divas? I'm back to get you into the Christmas spirit. As you can see, we are serving Christmas vibes for all the girlies. As if the Hall of Steel has not been slaying hard enough, we have added these snatched Christmas trees. We have really understood the assignment. It wouldn't be the Royal Armouries without a seasonal 1 versus 1. This slaps. Mama, a girl behind you.
Well, that's all for this UK Tonight Christmas special. We'll see you back here at 8 o'clock on the 6th of January. Happy New Year.